Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Miss McConvey and today we are doing the second annual World Book Day quiz. You guys seemed to really enjoy it last year, so I've decided to bring it back this year. It's exactly the same format as last time. There will be 4 rounds. Each round has 5 questions. Each question is worth 1 point. I would recommend you get a pen and some paper to write down your answers. And as with last time, you can do it on your own, but it's even more fun if you get friends and family involved as well. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, starting off with round number 1. I thought we'd start off with an easy one, so we'll start off with multiple choice just to ease you into it. So, without further ado, question number 1. Which of these books from the Chronicles of Narnia series is not actually a book in the Chronicles of Narnia series by C.S. Lewis? Is it A, The Horse and His Boy, B, A New Battle, or C, The Silver Chair? So which one of those is not a book in the Chronicles of Narnia series? Question number 2. In Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, which pet does Neville have? Is it A, an owl, B, a cat, or C, a toad? Question number 3. Cecily Mary Barker is best known for her illustrations of what? Is it A, birds? Is it B, mythical creatures? Or is it C, flower fairies? Moving on to question number 4 then. What is the name of Horrid Henry's brother? Is it A, Perfect Peter, B, Weepy William, or C, Rude Ralph? And the last question of this round. Lemony Snicket wrote the series of Unfortunate Events books, but that's not actually the author's real name. What is the author's real name? Is it A, Daniel Handler? Is it B, David Hemsworth? Or is it C, Samuel Langhorne? Okay, time for some answers. So in question number 1, I asked you, which one of those was not a book from the Chronicles of Narnia series? The answer was B, A New Battle. I made that one up. Question number 2, I asked you what type of pet Neville had. The answer was C, a toad. In the third question, I asked you what Cecily Mary Barker was best known for drawing. The answer was C, flower fairies. In question number 4, who was Horrid Henry's brother? Well, the answer is A, Perfect Peter. And lastly, I asked you what Lemony Snicket's real name is. The answer was A, Daniel Handler. So count up how many you got in that round, and then we'll move on to the next one. So round number 2 is a general knowledge round. Once again, there will be 5 questions all about children's books, but this time, I'm not giving you any answers to choose from. You need to test your own knowledge. Okay? So we'll start off with question number 1. Which fictional character has a label attached to them that reads, "Please look after this bear, thank you"? Okay, on to question number 2. Who wrote the Twins at St. Clair's book series? Question number 3. Which Jacqueline Wilson book features an Edwardian girl living in Britain who has to give up her scholarship to go and work in a sweet factory? Question number 4. Mildred Hubble is the main character in which book series by Jill Murphy? And question number 5. The main characters in the Maze Runner books are named after what? There are a few answers I will allow for this one. Okay, when you're ready, let's go over some answers. Okay, time for some answers from round number 2 then. So the first question asked you, Which fictional character has a note attached to them saying, "Please look after this bear, thank you"? Well, the answer is quite obviously Paddington Bear. Question number 2. Who wrote the Twins at St. Clair's books? Well, that was Enid Blyton. Question number 3. Which Jacqueline Wilson character had to go and work in a sweet factory after having given up her scholarship? The answer is Opal Plumstead. Question number 4. The Worst Witch is the answer to that one. Mildred Hubble is the main character in the Worst Witch book series. And lastly, what were the main characters in The Maze Runner named after? Well, famous people from history, but mostly scientists, mathematicians, or philosophers. Again, I will allow a few answers. So if you said anything about famous people, if you said scientists or mathematicians or philosophers or even inventors, I will allow an answer for those. Okay, so tally up your score for this round, and then we can move on to round number 3. Okay, welcome to round number 3, and for round number 3 I decided to focus on all things Scotland. So, here we go. First question. The Scots translation of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, as it was translated by Matthew Fitt, includes something called the Blethering Bunnet. But what is that? Do you know? Moving on to question number 2 then. Which children's book series by Mary Hedderwick is set on the fictional island of Sprue? Moving on to question number 3 then. The Egypts is the title of the Scottish translation of which very famous children's book? Moving on to question number 4 then. Which Scottish author wrote the famous novel Kidnapped? And lastly then, in 2016 the Bucket Trail was established to celebrate the 80th anniversary of which Scottish comic book character? You ready for some answers? Okay, time to go over some answers for round number 3, our Scottish round. In the first question, I asked you what the Blethering Bunnet was. The answer is the Sorting Hat. Okay, question number 2. Which books are set on the fictional island of Sprue by Mary Hedderwick? The answer is Katie Morag. And question number 3. The Scottish translation, The Egypts, is a translation of The Twits by Roald Dahl. For question number 4, I asked you who wrote the novel Kidnapped. The answer is Robert Louis Stevenson. Fun fact, he was known as the disappointment of his family because all of the rest of his family were engineers, most famous for building lighthouses, and he was the only writer. And question number 5, the Bucket Trail was established to celebrate the 80th anniversary of Ur Wullie. Okay, so tally up your scores for that round, and then we can move on to round number 4. Okay, so this final round is going to be all about books in other languages. I will attempt a couple of other languages here. I apologise profusely for my accent. My intention is not to offend. Okay, so without further ado, we'll start off with question number 1. Al final mueren los dos is the Spanish version of which popular young adult novel? Question number 2. Pippi Longstocking was created by an author from which country? Question number 3. The Little Prince was originally written in which language? Question number 4. Hans Christian Andersen is famous for his fairy tales, but which language did he originally write them in? And our final question for this round Il Signore degli Anelli is the Italian version of which famous book? Okay, time for answers. Okay, time to go over some answers for round number 4 then. So question number 1, I asked you, Al final mueren los dos is the Spanish version of which popular young adult novel? The answer is They Both Die at the End, which actually is a fantastic book, and if you've not read it, I really recommend it. In question number 2, Pippi Longstocking was created by an author from which country? The answer is Sweden. It was a Swedish author. In question number 3, The Little Prince was originally written in which language? The answer is French. It was originally called Le Petit Prince, written by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. It's also been translated into lots and lots and lots of different languages. It's one of the most translated books of all time. In question number 4, Hans Christian Andersen was most famous for his fairy tales, but they were originally written in Dutch. And finally, Il Signore degli Anelli is the Italian version of The Lord of the Rings. Okay, so tally up your scores for the whole round, and let's see how you got on. So that is the end of our World Book Day quiz for this year. Tally up your score out of 20. Were you surprised with how you did? Let me know how you got on down in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed this quiz, I hope you enjoy the rest of your World Book Day, and I will see you all next time. Bye!